when you hate something, it's always about you. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Make It Happen Dallas podcast. Oh my God, my voice is a little shaky. I went to a concert yesterday, and we know that I never hold back when it comes to a concert. And so I had a really good time, and today I was just a little nostalgic, I guess, because I realized because I went to Starbucks and they have the pumpkin spice latte. So, as you know, here in the States, it's not about the leaves, it's not about the seasons changes, it's about Starbucks. And whenever Starbucks releases their pumpkin spice latte, everything is changing and the fall is coming. So, I realized that summer is about to end and I got really sad about it, but I know that I have to take advantage of these last few weeks of hot to get into the pool and get a little sunshine. So, yeah. And today's episode is going to be really interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of someone doing what I'm about to do, but essentially I want to read to you. Um I realized that is not a thing for podcasts to be. I mean, it would turn it into an audiobook, if anything. But then I realized that this is my podcast and I can actually decide what I want to be about. So I want to talk to you today about what socially intelligent people do not do. So let's reflect for a little bit of what social intelligence means to you and when have you felt that in a social setting, you have not made the best decisions. So let's think about that in our mindful moment, and then we'll be back to talk more about it. Let me give you a little backstory on why I want to talk about social intelligence. So, I actually have an aunt that always tells me that I'm very like emotionally intelligent. And I've always thought like, oh, sure, thank you, I guess. I've never really given it a lot of thought. And I don't think I understood all that it came with. And so, first of all, I want to give you a little definition of what is social intelligence and emotional intelligence so you know that there's kind of a difference. They kind of relate to each other, but I want to make it really clear for everyone. So, emotionally intelligent Emotional intelligence is the ability to manage both your own emotions and understand the emotions of people around you. Usually, people who are very empathic are very emotionally intelligent because they're able to have self awareness, they self regulate their feelings, they have empathy, and they have social skills. So, that's where social intelligence comes from. And so, social intelligence is the capacity to know oneself and to know others. Social intelligence is learned and develops from experience with people and learning from success and failures in social settings. Another definition says that is a person's ability to understand and manage interpersonal relationships. So, essentially, it's how you act on feelings and thoughts and how you behave around people. So, I don't know. I've always felt like I was very social intelligent, but then I read this book that I recently purchased called 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think. I'm always wanting to change. um Not what I think or what I believe in, but I'm very open to new thoughts and new experiences, new beliefs because I don't think that we should just think, "Oh, that's what I've always thought and that's the way it is." I feel like we should be open-minded to everything. So I was like, "Oh, this book is perfect for me." And so I was reading and I was really liking it, and then I came across this chapter that is called Six Signs of a Socially Intelligent Person. So I'm going to read this chapter to you because I feel like it was so eye-opening to see the things that we might not realize that we are doing wrong, that might be unhealthy, that might not be the best course of actions when you interact with people. And I thought, why gatekeep this information when I can just share it with you guys? So these are 16 signs of socially intelligent people. So I'll go ahead and read it to you. While you may not know what makes someone socially intelligent, you have likely experienced the kind of social tone deafness that leaves you feeling frustrated at best and physically uncomfortable at worst. Manners are cultural social intelligence, yet it seems traditional politeness is beginning to lose its appeal. It can conjure images of washing out your personality in favor of more uniform behavior. While we want to be able to engage with people in a mutually comfortable way, we shouldn't have to sacrifice genuine expression in favor of a polite nod. The two are not mutually exclusive. People who are socially intelligent think and behave in a way that spans beyond what's culturally acceptable at any given moment in time. They function in such a way that they are able to communicate with others and leave them feeling at ease without sacrificing who they are and what they want to say. This, of course, is the basis of connection, the thing of which our brains are wired to desire, on which we personally thrive. Here are the core traits of someone who is socially intelligent. Number 1. They do not try to elicit a strong emotional response from anyone they are holding a conversation with. They don't communicate in such a way that aggrandize their accomplishments to incite a response of awe, and exaggerates their hardships to incite a response of sympathy. This usually occurs when the topic in question is not actually deserving of such a strong response, and therefore makes others uncomfortable because they feel pressure to fake an emotional reaction. When you meet someone and they start telling you things about their life, you're talking about a specific topic, and then they use that topic to essentially make themselves a victim in the story, and what they want from you is some validation. And even though we all deserve validation, it's so exhausting to validate someone that just is looking for, is fishing for that validation because they want to know that you're okay with it. And you're forced in a social setting to fake that response. Number 2, they do not speak in definitives about people, politics, or ideas. I love this one. The fastest way to sound unintelligent is to say, this idea is wrong. That idea might be wrong for you, but it exists because it is right to someone else. Intelligent people say, I don't personally understand this idea or agree with it. To speak definitively about any one person or idea is to be blind to the multitude of perspectives that exist on it. It is definition of a closed-minded and short-sightedness person. I love this because I've done this so much in my life where you don't need to convince someone else of your beliefs. You just need to believe it. So it's important how we use our language when we disagree with something and understand that it's about, hey, I actually don't personally agree with this, but tell me more about it, right? Being open-minded is something that sometimes I struggle with, but I try my best to keep an open mind usually when I have conversations, but I know I haven't always been the best at it. Number 3, they don't immediately deny criticism or have such a strong emotional reaction to it that they become unapproachable or unchangeable. Oof, this one's hard. Some of the most difficult people to be in a relationship with are those who are so threatened by even the slightest suggestion that their behavior is hurtful that they actually end up getting angry at the person for only suggesting it, reinforcing the problem altogether. Socially intelligent people listen to criticism before they respond to it. An immediate emotional response without thoughtful consideration is just defensiveness. So at the beginning of this statement, it said the most people to be in a relationship with. I've been in a relationship with those people, and I've actually been the person in the relationship who's quick to be defensive about something just because of how passionate I am about it is something that I still struggle with. And I think understand that sometimes when people say to you something and you have an immediate emotional response, just to pause and understand that what the other person is saying is out of their perspective. So you need to be open about other people's perspective and argue without getting emotional about it, because it's only defensiveness. And for me, this is hard. And I think it's hard to let go of your ego, but it's something that I'm working on every single day. Every single day that I'm like, okay, I feel like this rage coming on. I pause myself. I don't always succeed, but I pause myself and I realize, okay, I need to take a step back and not be emotional about it and really think about what the other person is saying. Where might they be coming from? Where are they getting this idea? Maybe I did something that prompted that behavior, or maybe they're talking out of their own experience. So asking questions to that person. Why do you think that? Why do you think that I acted that way? Or what was it that bothered you about my behavior? So asking those questions is a really good way of doing that. Number 4, they do not confuse their opinion of someone for being a fact about them. Socially intelligent people do not say, he's a prick, as though it is a fact. Instead, they say, I had a negative experience with this person where I felt uncomfortable, right? You're not saying, let's say that you meet someone and that person never called you back, or that person, I don't know, kissed your best friend. You automatically tell that person is a slut or that guy is a dick. But you never stop to realize that that might be your experience. And that doesn't make it, even though it's negative and you would never want to see that person again, to say that that person is something because of one action, you don't really know them that well to say that. So it's important to say how you feel about someone without making that person what you're thinking. Number 5, they never overgeneralize other people through their behaviors. They don't use words like, you always do this, you never do that, to illustrate a point. Likewise, they root their arguments in statements begin with, I feel, as opposed to you are. They do this because choosing language that feels unthreatened to someone is the best way to get them to open up to your perspective and actually create the dialogue that will lead to the change you desire. I might talk about this with my boyfriend if he comes on for an episode, because I used to say that too. I feel like all of these things I've done, I'm not here coming like on my high horse telling you that I've never done these things. I've actually have to learn some of these things. Some of these things I'm pretty comfortable with and I've understood along like throughout the years, but some of these things I still do and I try my best to not do them. And overgeneralizing something is the best way to get someone not to listen to you. Number 6, they speak with precision. They say what they intend to say without skirting around the issue. They speak calmly, simply, concisely, and mindfully. They focus on communicating something, not just receiving a response from others. Yes. Number 7, they know how they practice healthy disassociation. In other words, they know that the world does not revolve around them. We all know that person. They are able to listen to someone without worrying that at any given statement they make is actually a slight against them. They are able to disassociate from their own projections and at least try to understand another person's perspective without assuming it has everything to do with their own. Number 8, this is one of my favorites. They do not try to inform people of their ignorance. When you accuse someone of being wrong, you close them off to considering another perspective. If you first validate their stance and then present your own opinion, and then let them know that they still hold their own power in the conversation by asking their opinion, you open them up to engaging in the conversation where both of you can learn from each other rather than just defend your point of view. And an example is like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought of it that way. You're validating. Then something I recently learned is this and that. You're stating your own opinion. And then you give them back power by saying, what do you think about that? So I think approaching a conversation where both of you think that the other one is wrong is by being considerate, being respectful of another person's opinion. Number 9, they validate other people's feelings. To validate someone else's feelings is to say that they feel the way they do without trying to use logic to dismiss or deny or change their minds. For example, someone says, I am sad today, and the other person says, well, you shouldn't be. Your life is great. The main misunderstanding here is that that validating feelings is not the same as validating ideas. There are many ideas that deserve to be validated. But everyone's feelings deserve to be validated and acknowledged. And they don't need to change. If someone is feeling a way, you don't need to change that. That's just the way they feel. Number 10, they recognize that their shadow selves are traits, behaviors, and patterns that aggravate them about others. It is not always an obvious connection, but when there is a strong emotional response involved about anything, it is always there. If you generally dislike something, you would simply disengage with it. So essentially, anytime that you feel really strongly about something, that means that there's part of you that has a connection to that. Whenever I hate something really bad, I have to stop myself and think, why do I hate this so much? There is a reason. Whether you see yourself in it, whether you see parts of yourself that you don't like as much, or whether you see the opposite of what you want to be. So always know that when you hate something, it's always about you. And it might be in different ways. But always about something inside you. Number 11, they do not argue with people who only want to win, not to learn. Number 12, they listen to hear, not to respond. Deeply listening. I've talked about this before. While listening to other people speak should focus on what is said and not how they're going to respond. This is also known as holding space. We say that a lot. So holding space for someone is listening and not just thinking about what your next argument is going to be. Number 13, they do not post anything online they would be embarrassed about with a parent or explain to a child or have an employee found. Posting anything that you're not confident on supports that you're not being your genuine self. Post what you feel like it's the genuine representation of who you are. 14, they do not consider themselves as a judge of what's true. Number 15, they don't poison the well. And poisoning the well is when someone attacks the character of another person so as to shift the attention away from the point being made. So, for example, if a person who eats 3 candy bars a day says, I don't think it's healthy for children to eat too much candy each day. And a socially intelligent person would not respond saying, who are you to say if you eat 3 candy bars a day? An intelligent person would be able to see it as an objective thing that person is saying. Usually it is people who are most inflicted by an issue that they're able to speak out about the importance of it. So that person might know what it's like to struggle with eating disorders. And that's why that person is saying that. So taking something about them and using it against them is not only gaslighting, but it doesn't make your point any stronger. Last one, number 16. Their primary relationship is to themselves and they work on it tirelessly. It says the main thing socially intelligent people understand is that your relationship to everyone else is an extension to your relationship with yourself. And consider this a mic drop, but a book drop, I guess. So I really love that one because sometimes we are blaming everyone else for the way we act, for the way we feel, and ultimately it all comes from inside. So if you listen to all of these and you relate it to them, you're like, oh my God, I've done this, or I'm actually really good at that. Sometimes it just takes us to understand something and to listen to something that we might not have known before, to really start thinking about it. So all I want from you is to start thinking about these things. How are you interacting with people? Are you being your best self with your friends, with new people that you meet every day? And it definitely did that for me. I'm definitely going to be more mindful of those things, and be a better friend, be a better person to interact with. And being a social intelligent person is my goal for the rest of the year. So if it is your goal too, I really hope that you liked it and that you enjoyed this chapter. If you want more chapters out of this book, they're so good. And I will talk to you next week. We have a really cool guest episode with another one of my friends. So I hope you have an amazing week, and start being mindful about all of your relationships, the way you interact, the way you show up, because that's how we are better and that's how we make it happen. So I will see you next week. Let's make it happen, Dallas.